Yo, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing some Odd Eyes test hands. So I'm really excited this week guys, because this was actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Tyler. And Tyler wanted to see a really awesome Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon deck. And I absolutely love this deck because it can make some absolutely crazy plays, summoning out to your side of the field some powerful Pendulum Dragons. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like in your name search for your single video, getting a signed cards mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron, along with test hands. And definitely give Tyler some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such a awesome nostalgic deck. So let's get straight on into this. So this deck is a really fun deck. I've kind of changed it up from my previous build, because in my previous build I was playing Pendulum Magicians mixed in here, but I really wanted to try something a little bit different with this particular deck, so I changed it up to actually play more of the gate cards for Zark and actually play some more of the Pendulum Dragons. And I have to say, Odd Eyes Persona Dragon is just an MVP in this deck. Giving you that spot negation is just really helpful. Even including cards like Appaloosa to give you all of those link arrows, and playing cards like the original Odd Eyes comboed with Arc Pendulum, it gives you some really insane searchability and special summoning during the end phase. So let's go ahead and see what we can do now that we've pile shuffled this deck. It's a really fun deck and plays some pretty interesting tech cards. And if you guys would like to check out the deck profile, it is always down in the description down below for any test hand video. So let's go ahead and shuffle up the deck and see what we can do. So we're going to go ahead and draw for a Summoner's Art. That's already really good because it's going to get us into one of the most powerful cards in the entire deck. A copy of Supreme King Gate 0. That's pretty good. It's never bad to actually see the gates as long as you don't see multiples of them, because they have low scales. We then draw into a copy of Persona Dragon. That is always great. Spiral Flame Strike, and a copy of Gate 0. So we did draw on a double Gate 0, but that's okay because we have a double search in our hand. So it's totally fine. So let's go ahead and show you guys what you can do with this hand. So right off the bat, I'm going to activate my copy of Summoner's Art, and I'm going to add from deck to hand a copy of our normal monster, the Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon. That's very helpful to actually grab that card from deck to hand, because that card is like the MVP of the deck. If you guys don't know what that card does, every time an Odd Eyes you control is destroyed by card effect, you get to special summon an Odd Eyes monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard, and you only affect this card once per turn. But that combos very well with our original Odd Eyes, because the original Odd Eyes will pop itself, and this will give us a special summon, so we get a search and a special summon, which is actually what I'm grabbing with our Spiral Flame Strike. So we're going to just go ahead and grab a copy of Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, and we can Pendulum summon out all of our monsters that we need onto our side of the field, which is going to help us out quite a lot. So now that we've got this hand set up, we're going to go ahead and set the Pendulum scales on our side of the field, which we have a 4 and an 8 on our side. And then we're going to go ahead and Pendulum summon for 3, summoning out our copy of Persona Dragon and both copies of our Gate 0. That's totally fine to Pendulum summon both of these monsters out to our side of the field, because we're just going to go ahead and overlay them. We're going to go ahead and overlay into an XZ monster, which is going to be our copy of our Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. Now once we go into this card, we can actually link all of these away, which this will actually go to the extra deck, and these will go to the graveyard. And when they do link that away, we're going to actually summon out a really awesome card. We're actually going to summon out IP Masquerena. IP Masquerena gives us those link arrows that we absolutely need, and it's going to help us out a lot in the long run of things to have her on our side of the field, because we're going to get some special summons. Now the effect of our Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon will actually resolve, and if this card is sent, or if this XZ summon card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon an Odd Eyes monster from your extra deck. So we're going to immediately special summon out a negate onto our side of the field, which is going to be a copy of Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Now we have a setup where we basically have a negate here, and we have the IP that'll let us link summon during our opponent's turn. Now we end the turn, and we're going to go ahead and use the effect of our Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, and it will pop itself, so it will go Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2. So we'll get to special summon out an eye card from our deck that is an Odd Eyes card. So it kind of depends on what you want to grab, but I usually always grab from the deck a copy of Persona Dragon, because Persona Dragon is just an additional negation on our side of the field. So now that we've summoned out our copy of Persona Dragon, the effect of Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon will resolve, and let us grab from our deck to our hand a monster that has 1500 attack stack or less, which is a copy of Infinity that you can grab with this. You can grab a copy of your other gates, you can grab Persona, you can grab Odd Eye Synchron. It kind of depends on what you want to grab in this situation, and I usually just grab like a copy of Perform Power Odd Eye Synchron so I can start going into synchro plays, or you can just grab the Persona Dragon, have an additional backup play later next turn for another scale. I usually grab this one because I want the scale, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the copy of Persona Dragon just so I can have the scale just in case, or if my opponent handles my copy of Persona Dragon on the field, I can then make it next turn, or I can discard it to the graveyard for Unicorn. So now that we've done this really awesome play, you're probably thinking, well, where do we go from here? Well, now that we pass over to the opponent, you have a couple of different options. You have the effect of your Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon that says when this card is special summon, you get to target a face-up monster your opponent controls and return to the hand. And then during the either player's turn, when a spell or trap or another monster effect is activated, you can shuffle one face-up Pendulum monster from your extra deck into the deck, negate the activation to destroy it. So you have a negation here that you can actually bounce back either your Odd Eyes Persona or your copy of Odd Eyes Pendulum, which I would actually bounce back the Persona, which gives us one negate, which we're actually going to use this dice right here to actually count the negations that we're going to get, because that's actually really cool to see how many negations we get. We have one negation right here, we have a negation right here, which gives us two, and we have technically an interruption because you can link these two monsters away after you negate something with your copy of Persona Dragon to disrupt your opponent, linking those two monsters away to summon out from your extra deck your copy of Nightmare Unicorn. So once you summon out the Nightmare Unicorn to your side of the field, you can ditch that copy of Persona in your hand, and once you ditch that copy of Persona, this will actually go to the extra deck, you can actually get a disruption with your copy of Unicorn, which will give us technically 3 interruptions, but 2 negates and an interruption where we can spin something with the Unicorn. Now that we pass back to our turn, we're going to draw for turn, and we're going to draw into a copy of Persona. Let's shuffle that deck and make sure that we get something different. So let's see what we can get, because I think I just sat that on top. So let's go ahead and see. So we're going to go ahead and draw, and as long as we draw into a Pendulum scale, we're probably going to be fine as long as it's a low scale. So it's a low scale, because we actually drew into Spiral Flame Strike. So we can go ahead and activate it and kind of do the same thing that we did before, where we can just grab out of the extra, or out of the main deck, we're going to go ahead and grab from there a copy of Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. So the neat thing about this is you might be thinking, well, we only have one Pendulum Zone. Well, we do, but you can create more. So we're going to go ahead and link these two monsters away, and you're going to actually summon out a copy of Appaloosa. Now, Appaloosa helps out a lot because the Appaloosa is just going to give us all that extra advantage, where she's actually sitting at 2 right here. She actually has 2 unique names because you linked a link 1 or link 3 and a regular monster to go into a link 4. So we climbed into Appaloosa during our turn, and now she gives us those 3 zones, which we're just going to Pendulum summon out the copy of Odd Eyes and a copy of Persona Dragon because we don't really have anything else. So when we pass to the opponent, you do kind of the same play, pop this card, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, and we're going to resolve it the same way, where we special summon an Odd Eyes monster from the deck, which we can summon out anything that we want to. You can actually summon out Odd Eyes Perform Pal Dissolver if you want to summon that card. You can summon out your copy of your Odd Eyes Wizard Dragon. You can summon out Persona if you didn't have a Persona already on the field, or you can summon out a copy of Phantom Dragon. It doesn't super matter which one you summon at this point, because you've kind of already got your setup rolling, because you can start rolling with your monsters any way that you want to now, which is really cool. So I think that does it for the first test hand. Let's go ahead into the next one. I really love the way this deck plays, that it makes use of the actual Odd Eyes Dragon monsters, because my last build, I really enjoyed it because it actually played Pendulum Magicians, and I was really loving the Pendulum Magician archetype, but I also really like playing around with the more pure version of Odd Eyes compared to the Pendulum version, because the Pendulum version is fun, don't get me wrong, but I really like playing with this particular build as well. So let's go ahead and shuffle it up and see what we can do, in the next test hand, because this deck is a really fun deck to play around with. I really love the way that it plays. It's really crazy, all the different crazy cool combos you can do. But let's go ahead and see what we can do. Let's go ahead and cut the deck right there and see what we can pull off. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a copy of the Odd Eyes Phantasm Dragon. That's pretty good because it has 0 scale. We're going to draw in a Spiral Flame Strike. Pendulum, a copy of Darkworm, and a copy of Duelist Alliance. So this is a pretty good setup right off the bat because you already have a double search and you have the Arc Pendulum in the hand, so you don't have to search the Arc Pendulum, and you have a low scale just in case because it has the ability to discard a card to add one face-up Dragon Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, so it can kind of help you out on the next turn. So what we can go ahead and do right off the bat is normal summon out our copy of Darkworm, because Darkworm has the ability to add a gate monster from our deck to our hand. So we can go ahead and add that copy of Gate 0 because we already had the high scale in our hand with the Arc Pendulum. I don't even know why I'm shuffling. We're going in 3 times. We can actually now activate the copy of our Arc Pendulum and then use the copy of Spiral Flame Strike. Spiral Flame Strike will actually grab us from deck to hand any Odd Eyes card, and you can actually use the copy of the Duelist Alliance as well, because if there's a card in your Pendulum zone, you can add a Pendulum monster or a Pendulum spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So you kind of got to pick and choose with these two. As long as it has Pendulum in the name, you can search whatever you want. So we're going to go ahead and grab with this card. I'm actually going to grab something a little bit different. I'm going to grab the copy of Odd Eyes with the Duelist Alliance, and I'm going to grab the copy of Persona Dragon with my copy of, or actually, I will grab something else. Let me grab something else because I think you have to search 7s. Let's search something else. Let's search out our copy of, where is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's an 8. Let's grab, say, where's Phantom Dragon? Is Phantom Dragon still in the deck or did I? No, there it is. We're going to actually draw out the copy of Phantom Dragon because it is a level 7 that we can actually grab with this. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle up the deck and see what we can do for the rest of the hand. Now that we've gotten all of our searches, we're going to put these down right here. And then we can actually go for some pretty good plays because we can go ahead and lay the pendulum scale right here. And this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can't actually summon this, but you can pendulum summon out the 2 other monsters, which is totally fine because you can kind of do the same setup that we did before. And this card has a really neat effect that when pendulum summon, you inflict damage to your opponent by attacking. You inflict damage to your opponent equal to the number of Odd Eyes cards in your pendulum zone. So if you do attack and you're going second, you can actually swing with this card and do a little extra damage if you want to. So now that we've summoned out both these cards, we can overlay them again and summon out the copy of Absolute Dragon, link these away. This will go to the extra deck and this will go to the graveyard, and then you can summon out the copy of IP Masquerena this time, or you can summon out the copy of the Hieratic Spheres, which is another option since they are dragon monsters that you linked away. Once you summon out that card, you will get the effect of your Odd Eyes Absolute. And we're going to special summon this card down here, and then at that point you can pretty much pass against the opponent. This card's really good in the hand too because it has the ability that if you have 2 pendulum monsters in your Odd Eyes zones, and you're actually, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you cannot pendulum summon the rest turn after this card activates. So that's why I didn't summon this card. It's kind of just here just in case I need it for later. So now that I've summoned out this, you can kind of pass against the opponent. And once you pass to the opponent, you can actually use this to shuffle this card back into the extra deck because it just requires any pendulum monster. Shuffle 1 face-up pendulum monster from the extra deck into the deck. So you can shuffle back this card into the deck, or you can actually resolve it in phase before you go into the next turn. Your copy of Pendulum Dragon, put it in the extra deck, and then go Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. I love that play where you're just going to get the special summon of an Odd Eyes monster, and then you're also going to get the search of another Odd Eyes card from the deck to the hand, which is just super, super helpful. This kind of depends on what you want to grab. If you want to grab a low scale, I usually like to grab a low scale with this, where I'm actually grabbing like a card that I can throw in the pendulum zone to go into more plays, or I can grab something that's a little bit bigger and but as long as it's less than 1500 attack. So let's go ahead and shuffle up and see what we can do. So now that we pass back to the opponent, you can actually do a negate. You can shuffle back your copy of Darkworm into the deck here to give you a negation with your copy of your Vortex Dragon, which is pretty good. And you also have the Persona Dragon to give you a negate as well of a monster that's special summoned from the extra deck. And you have the copy of your Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spears that you can actually tribute on your side of the field. And then it will let you special summon a dragon monster from the deck. It doesn't super matter which one it is. You can even summon Darkworm if you want to summon Darkworm so you can get a search. It's totally up to you to be able to go into any play that you want to at this point. You can even summon out your copy of Wizard Dragon because Wizard Dragon's kind of neat in this deck because it has a neat effect, which is why I actually play this in this deck. It was actually suggested to me by Tyler to put this card in this deck, but it's the only monster that's not a pendulum monster. And it has the unique ability that if this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card and sent to the graveyard, then you can special summon an Odd Eyes monster from your deck or graveyard. So it gives you a little bit of a replace monster, so you can actually special summon this card to your side of the field. It'll come out as a 0/0, but that's totally fine because you're just going to use it later or their opponent's going to destroy it and you're going to replace it anyways with another Odd Eyes card. So it's kind of up to you. So now at this point, we're going to go ahead and draw for turn, and we're going to draw into a copy of Odd Eyes Dissolver. Dissolver's pretty good in this particular hand because you can go into some fusion plays with this particular setup, which is why I really like drawing into this card. So we're going to go ahead and throw this card in the Pendulum zone, and we're going to special summon out from our hand the Gate 0, and we're going to special summon out from the extra deck our Pendulum Dragon. So now at this point, you have a lot of different plays. You go for an Appaloosa at this point to have you a bunch of monster negates on your side of the field. You can use your copy of your Odd Eyes Dissolver and be able to fusion summon into another copy of your Vortex Dragon if you want to go for a Vortex Dragon. If you had a Perform Pal monster on your side of the field, you could use it for Gatling Ghoul. You just have a lot of different plays here that you can go for, and it's really helpful to be able to go for all those plays. You can even go in for a copy of your Flare Metal, so every time your opponent breathes, they take 500, or you can go in for a copy of Darkest Doom Rider, and Doom Rider will give you some really neat effects where you can actually pop cards during your opponent's turn because it becomes a quick effect if it has dragon monsters and material, which we actually have right here, which is pretty good. It's actually not a bad play to just use these two monsters on your side of the field to overlay into a copy of Doom Rider right here, and it will actually be able to pop a card, which is pretty good to be able to do that as long as you use monsters that have materials or that are dragon monsters as material. You can actually link these two away if you want to for another play, which will help us out a lot just to get these monsters off our side of the field. Or you can even not go into this card and go take a step back and look at the field and go, hey, wait a minute. I have a whole bunch of monsters that have different names and they have different levels, but they're all high levels. So you can actually link all three of these monsters away to put these in the extra deck to go into a copy of BLS, which will help us push, and it becomes immune to card effects because it has the ability that if you use a level 7 or higher monster to summon this card, your opponent cannot target it with card effects, and also it can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects either. And it gives us those link zones, which is really good, and you keep both of your negates on your side of the field at the same time, which is very good. So let's go into the next test hand and see what we can do for the next one. I feel like this deck works really well. Like, I love what it does. It does a lot of simple Pendulum plays, in my opinion, that you're just trying to summon out your copy of Vortex and Absolute and link away the copy of Vortex so you can go in for more plays. And that's pretty much as simple as it gets. You don't have to go into some crazy plays. It's a very good Pendulum deck, and it's super cool that actually Yugioh played this deck in the actual anime, which is really cool. Like, I love playing anime decks for characters because, like, it's just super cool to actually, like, do your own take of their deck. So let's see what we can do for the next test hand. We're going to go ahead and shuffle up the deck and see what we can do. So we're going to go ahead and cut it right here, and let's see what we can draw. So we're going to go ahead and draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there, and we're going to go ahead and see what we hit. Hopefully we hit something good. So we're going to get a copy of Infinity. Not the greatest one to get in our hand, but it is a scale 13, so we can go over a lot of different plays. Arc Pendulum, that's really good. Dark Worm is really good because we can normal summon it and get our low gate. A copy of Revolution Dragon and Pendulum Fusion. Now, Pendulum Fusion is a really good card in this deck, and I really love what it does. And this was actually a suggestion by Tyler. Tyler showed me this card and was like, hey, you should really look at Pendulum Fusion. This card's really good in this deck because after you Pendulum summon, you can actually use this to go in for Vortex Dragon to give you an additional negate, which is really cool. And I really liked it, and so I kept playing it. So we're actually going to use the copy of Revolution Dragon, because Revolution Dragon has the ability that you can discard this card, pay 500 life points, and add a level 8 or lower dragon monster from your deck to your hand, and it gains attack equal to half your life points as well if it's on the field. But you're never going to summon this. You're only ever going to use its pay 500 to add a card from your deck to your hand. So we're going to discard this card as a search card, because pretty much Revolution Dragon is just a search card, and we're going to use its effect to be able to grab a copy of Pendulum Dragon. I always grab Pendulum Dragon if I have the opportunity, because it gives me so much utility to actually grab that card directly from the deck to be able to just summon to my side of the field. So at this point, we can go ahead and normal summon that copy of Dark Worm, because Dark Worm is going to get us our gates, which is just going to help us out a lot, just to thin the deck a little bit to get those cards. I will not lie to you guys, this is actually a little bit of an awkward hand, because we don't have that many like options to go in for besides the Arc Pendulum Odd Eyes hand, which is totally fine because we can still go in for some neat plays. But we're going to take a quick peek at the extra deck. So you can, if you want to, Pendulum summon out to your side of of the field, the Odd Eyes and the Gate 0, and do kind of the same combo that we did before. You can actually climb, if you want to, into a copy of the BLS Link monster. You can go in for your copy of Vortex Dragon if you want to, which is an option for you guys if you want to summon that card to your side of the field, because this card is basically polymerization, so it actually comes in pretty handy to use. But I think for this particular setup, I would probably just go for the standard play, where I would use these two monsters on my side of the field, Pendulum summon both of these to my side of the field, overlay them both on my side of the field, and go into a copy of Absolute, because it just requires 2 level 7s. Once you go into those 2 level 7s, you're going to link them away, just like we did before, and you'll actually summon out to your side of the field a copy of IP, because you have a card in your hand that you can afford to discard if you want to. And you're going to get special summons anyways. So once you pass back over to the opponent, this is the end phase is going to activate, and you're going to get that double summon. And we get the copy of Vortex, which we totally forgot to put on our side of the field, off the Absolute Dragon. So this will actually now resolve, and we'll actually resolve this right now. And it will pop itself to be able to add from your deck to your hand a search and a special summon. So we're just going to special summon out the copy of our Persona Dragon. I like to leave my zones open, by the way. That's why I summon under the copy of IP. And then we're going to actually search from the deck a monster that has 1500 or less. Again, this is why I like playing double copies of Odd Eyes Pendulum in this deck, because I always want to open up Arc Pendulum plus Pendulum Dragon, because they just come in so handy together. So then we're going to go ahead and add from deck to hand. You can add Persona if you want to, because it's a low scale, and it will help out a lot just to grab that low scale so you can go in for more plays. We're going to shuffle up the deck again, and then once we do, we pass over to the opponent. When we pass over to them, we can actually discard this for the copy of Unicorn. You can use the copy of Vortex Dragon right off the bat, and the really cool thing about this particular setup is if you want to, you can actually use the copy of Vortex first, then use this as a negate, and then link all of these away and summon out to your side of the field a copy of Appaloosa, and then the Appaloosa will give you those 3 arrows facing down, and the Appaloosa will come out with 3 additional negates. So you had a total of 5 negates, which is pretty good, because you have this right here, you have the copy of your, you had the copy of the Vortex Dragon, you had the copy of the Persona Dragon, and you have the copy of your other card that you had on the field, the copy of IP, to summon out the copy of Appaloosa. So you technically had 5 negates. So that's a pretty good hand to go off of. So we're going to go ahead and draw into the next turn, and we're going to draw into a copy of Duelist Alliance. We're going to go ahead and activate that card. And once we activate the copy of Duelist Alliance, it's going to let us add a Pendulum Dragon from deck to hand. So I, again, always trying to add that copy of Odd Eyes, because Odd Eyes works so well in this deck, like this. So we're going to go ahead and activate that card right off the bat, and then we can Pendulum Summon. We can actually Pendulum Summon out here, we can Pendulum Summon out here, and we can summon out our copy of Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon right there. And if you want to, you can link climb a little bit if you want to, or you can activate the copy of your Pendulum Fusion to go in for another copy of Vortex Dragon. It's totally up to you if you want to go for Vortex Dragon. It's a pretty good option to go to, because it makes a 2500 beat stick that summons to your side of the field. And then at the end phase, you're going to get the special summon off the copy of this, and get the search off of this, which you do pretty much every single turn. So I think that does it for this one, guys. I really love the way this deck plays. It's super fun to play with, just being able to play with all of the Odd Eyes cards. I really love the way that you just basically can play the deck almost like a character deck. Like, it feels like a character deck when I play with it, because you play all of the Odd Eyes cards so well in this deck, and it's just really fun. Like, I really love the way that it plays, and it's just a super fun Pendulum deck, because it doesn't go crazy in for all these really awesome plays. It does some simple stuff very quickly, and it does it very effectively, which is why I like this deck so much. And the other thing that we never drew was Sky Iris. Sky Iris is ridiculous in this deck, because Sky Iris lets you pop a card on your side of the field, and it combos with your Arc Pendulum, because it will give you a special summon off the Sky Iris and a special summon off the Arc Pendulum, so you get a double special summon to go in for more plays. And they're both Odd Eyes that you summon, so you can get 2 level 7s on your field to go in for some crazy good plays. So I think that does it for this hand, guys. I really enjoyed this deck. If you guys want to check out the deck profile, definitely check it out in the description down below. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can come part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.